Well, good morning. My name is Catherine Bennett and welcome to the Cyber Chat studio. In this episode, I'm joined by the fantastic Kerry Jones, Head of Compliance and Information Security at DigitalXRaid. I will pass over to Kerry just to introduce herself, but I must say I am that little bit starstruck this morning. I feel like I'm talking to a celebrity. She won an award recently. I'm sure the listeners and viewers will love to hear all about your recent win. So quickly over to Kerry just to tell her a little bit about yourself, really.
Hi, so I'm Kerry Jones, Head of Compliance and Information Security here at DigitalXRaid, and somehow I managed to achieve the Security Woman of the Year award in April. So here we are telling the tale, really.
Fantastic. And was it something that you were kind of preparing for? Was it something that you sort of knew was coming along, or was it complete shock?
Yeah, no, I literally got told when I'd been shortlisted by the business. So yeah, it was an absolute shock, and to have actually won against some of the companies that I were up against was the biggest shock of my life, to be honest. So yeah, it was a real good night and good event, good achievement as well.
Oh, fantastic. It is. And like you say, it's a very good achievement. I think there are a lot of people that strive for a lot of these awards. And it also, I think from an industry perspective, it's a great achievement to have. It's well recognized, and it's something to work forward for, especially working your way through, different certifications, different paths across your career. So well done. Congratulations. I think that's absolutely fantastic for you.
Thank you.
So very quickly, before we go into the real reason why we're here, I mean, obviously we wanted to start talking about compliance and a number of different topics that are very, very important for businesses. I'd like to understand a little bit more, perhaps, about your journey and the topics that are close to your heart. So I guess before I go into a couple of other quick questions about you, tell me, how did you start your journey in cybersecurity? Was it kind of something that you were looking to move into from a very young age, or perhaps maybe was it something that, like most people, you sort of fell into?
Yeah, for me, it was definitely something I fell into. I would never have said, when I started out in my career of childcare, which is where it started, I would ever have ended up here. So that was my passion at the time, was, wanting to kind of see children thrive and grow in those in childcare settings and environments that I worked in. And then some, I got made redundant. I think if that would never have happened, I would still been there, to be honest, because I absolutely loved that job. But I ended up in just a call centre where the job just went from one thing to another. So I ended up doing a bit of compliance, picking up a few of the ISO controls, looking at just, day-to-day checks. And then I thought, actually, this is something I really enjoy doing. An opportunity came up for a larger team within the business that I worked in, joined that. And then again, I was in that job for about 11 years. And I thought it's probably time to move on and share my skills with another company. So I did that. And then I got made redundant again. And then this job came up and I thought, I'll try my chances. And that was it. So this job kind of gave me the opportunity to believe in what I was doing in the other companies, because obviously I was part of a bigger team. You kind of get lost, I suppose. You don't really, shine as much when you're in a bigger team. You really have to fight to be seen. And obviously here it was make or break for me, in the sense of, right, this is your time to prove that you know what you're doing, to yourself and also to others, and then obviously see where you go from there. And obviously I came in just taking on, we only had a couple of customers then, so I just took those on from Scott, who had implemented ISO in their worlds, and then it just kind of grew from there. And now we've got a team. I'm now the head of that team. I manage another area of compliance as well here. So it's just grown into a manageable beast, but it's grown into something. And this is kind of, I mean, it was on this weekend I was talking to an ex-colleague where I said, I can't believe how much knowledge you've got, really, and what you can share with others, and see them on their journey, and see where I've come, because I'm sure people would not expect me to be where I am, but definitely hard work and determination's made me get here. So sure.
And Joel, one of the things that I've noticed is, being made redundant can really give you a bit of a kind of a kick in the teeth.
Yeah.
It's not something that you can help. It's something that sometimes is very, very unexpected. Sometimes it's that it kind of gives you a little while to kind of get back into things and get the enthusiasm and the encouragement to kind of go back out there and go, right, okay, well, what do I now want to, do I
Yeah.
have the time now to think about what do I really want to do
Yeah. And
rather than finding a job
yeah,
for the sake of it?
absolutely. And for me at that time, I just had a baby. So like I had a tiny 7-month-old baby, and I was thinking, who's going to really want to take someone like me on if that slips out in an interview? Because it's something as a woman that you do worry about, and especially in this industry,
Yeah.
you do think, are they going to be concerned about taking a woman on who's got a baby? They don't know how I work and how
Yeah.
hardworking I am at that point. So it is a scary thing. So yeah, it was a really hard decision to like think, right, I'm going to apply for things that I want to do.
Yeah.
And then in a certain time frame, and if I'm not successful, then I'll just do anything as long as I've got a job and I'm providing for my family and things. But luckily this came along, and never looked back, and it's just grown into such a good role and a place to work. So yeah, all
That's
good.
fantastic. Brilliant. Do you know, I think that gives you the brilliant, pride or self-pride really to say, look at what I have built for myself. It's my career. It's the direction I want to now go in, and you have put a lot of work into that side. So
100%.
one of the other questions, so kind of leading into you as an individual, you mentioned obviously you've got a little one, so that probably takes up a lot of time. But what do you like to do outside of work? Do you have any time for hobbies or interests outside of work?
So for me, it is basically spending time with the family. I do enjoy going out and eating. That's one of my things. I'm not a massive drinker or anything, but I do love to go out and have food and dance the night away is my thing. I really enjoy to do all of that. But yeah, the majority of the time is taken up doing adventures or cinema dates with the little one really. So yeah, it's and obviously as well, football's taken over in our house as well at the moment. So yeah, we have a lot of football training tournaments with the little one as well. So yeah, it's basically whatever I can fit in for myself. But other than that, it's making sure he survives.
Yep. Yeah, I'm definitely with you on the eating front. I'm a big fan of nice food, going out enjoying your time, especially the industry that we're in. It can get a little bit
Definitely.
hectic, so to have
Yeah.
a bit of time away is quite nice. So what is an interesting fact about you that perhaps maybe our followers wouldn't necessarily know?
Hmm. I don't know. I mean, obviously, probably the one of them for me would be probably like knowing where I started, which wasn't actually in this industry. So, completely my passion at that time was children and
Yeah.
ensuring that they were getting what they needed and things. So that there's that, and then yeah, other than that, the only other kind of awards I've ever won in my life would be when I was in the majorettes. So I did the majorettes for quite a long while. So from probably the age of 5 up to about 13.
Yeah.
So I won quite a lot of medals and trophies for that in our like local region. But other than that, there's probably nothing else I would say that's
Still,
that interesting, really.
there's skeletons in the closet there.
Yeah.
So favorite city? Is there a place out there that you or country, city or country, somewhere that really for you is you could have 2-3 weeks off work and it's somewhere that you would love to go to?
Yeah, I've got a couple. So mine would be Florida or Mexico. So yeah, I've had many of family holidays in Florida, so I've got some great memories there. And then yeah, we took my little boy when he was 2, so that was seeing it from a parental side and just crying constantly, which was amazing. And then to have a relaxing minute, yeah, would definitely be Mexico, and we're back off there next year. So yeah, just to have some
Nice.
proper R&R, that is the place for me.
Definitely. A little bit of sunshine, I think we all could do with that at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. And the food there is amazing. So obviously being an eater is definitely that is the place for me.
Nice. It's definitely on my bucket list to go to next, I think. So where do you see yourself in 5 or even 10 years' time? Now, what's the kind of goal, if you have one? Where would you kind of like to end up, I guess?
So for me, I don't really see myself looking at my career as much as probably 5 to 10 years. So there's certain things I'd love to do within that time, which would be to see, see and help more women come into the team and assist them on the journey, and also maybe give a bit back. So it would be probably, again, looking at how we can probably put things into schools, maybe. So raise awareness in schools around, what these devices that the children are on these days, what risks they bring to them, and kind of putting it into their language as to what they should be looking out for, raising awareness in there. So I would really like to, when I get some time, to maybe just start off in some schools and raise an awareness there, because I see it with my nieces and things, the games that they're on, people talking to them, and even my sisters are like, it's fine, and it's just trying to raise awareness, saying, well, it's not really. So all that really giving back would be really good, and looking at how we can kind of give back to children, and also raise awareness of kind of what these jobs look like and how it's changed. And then for my team would be to expand that out and hopefully bring more and more women into this industry, and guide them on the journey, and let them take bits of my brain away and use that, and help them to expand their knowledge and on their journey of success as well. That would be great. So it's lovely to see that we get another Security of the Year maybe within DigitalXRaid of a different person, but yeah, that would be great if we could see that through really in the next 5 to 10 years.
Definitely. It sounds like a great plan to have. Like, there's nothing better, a couple of these episodes have been really important around, experience, knowledge, kind of growing with the industry. And I think it's really important to kind of give those skills back to some of the people who perhaps maybe new, like say some women that are kind of coming into the industry. So great plan to have. Now we're sort of moving more into the kind of the compliance space, the business aspect. Tell us a little bit about, DigitalXRaid, what they do, the organisation, and perhaps maybe a little bit about, your current role, what you do, and why you like it really. What are obviously we all have roles where there are some bits we don't quite like, and obviously the bits that we do like. But yeah, a little bit perhaps maybe about DigitalXRaid and the role that you do for the business.
Yeah, so the business, DigitalXRaid provide cybersecurity services. So we provide a range of services to customers. So we're looking at, kind of, we've got the compliance side, which is looking at certifications such as ISO 9001 and 27001. We do cybersecurity maturity assessments. So these are always a good place for companies who don't know where to start on their journey. They're a good place to start. So kind of looking at, what have we got in place? What documents do we have, and what we've got in practice really. So it gives you a good idea of where you are and where you need to focus your energies, if you like, and your budget to get the best out of the business. So that's one thing that kind of sits within our team. We also offer penetration testing and red teaming, cyber essentials. We've also got the 24/7 security operations centre, so that's looking at monitoring and defence for threats and things that happen in the wider world. And obviously, all these other services that we offer do link into what myself and the rest of the team do with regards to 27001. So looking at what controls have we got in place to help with these frameworks. So they kind of link into what we do as well. So if customers don't have any monitoring or don't do a pen test, it's something we can kind of suggest and say, we also offer that service, or it's something you need to think about anyway if you don't choose us. But that's kind of what we do as a business. And then within the team, so there's me, and I manage the cyber essentials side now, and also the compliance piece. So we obviously offer the certifications. We've got a number of ISO 27001 managed service customers that are deal with us monthly throughout the cycle of the certification, and then we also offer other services. So it's kind of chunk down some of the requirements of the standard. So we might just review your documents to check that they're in line with the framework, offer advice on where they need to be improved. We also do tabletop exercises. So we'll do a simulation of a cyber incident or a data breach or whatever you guys decide would need to be looked at. And then we will kind of give you a scenario, make the scenario very scary, because obviously sometimes it can happen, and just see how you'd react, and then check that, you'd looked at your documents, you'd followed process if anything, and then ensure that we give you feedback and corrective actions off the back of that as well. So that's just kind of a bit of a snippet of what we do as a business.
Brilliant. And obviously we've spoken quite a bit about, compliance standards for organizations. What do we actually mean by compliance? What when we talk about any organization, I guess, more particularly within information security, what does compliance mean, or how would you explain the whole scenario to an organization?
So for me, when people pass that word around, really, if you it's ensuring that whatever you guys or as a business you have in place, whether it's a policy, a procedure, anything like that, that you are working in line with that. So you might say, oh yeah, we're compliant to an information security policy, blah blah blah, but then we would want to know how are you doing that, how do you check that your people are aware, how is it pushed out, how are you ensuring it's up to date. So it's all that, and aligning to a framework, whether or not it's ISO 27001, NIST, or whatever it would be, is always a good place to align your compliance in an IT cyber information security perspective, really. So it's just ensuring that you're aware of what you either need as a business or what a framework is asking for you, and then what checks and balances you've got in place as a business to say, yeah, we are doing that, and we know that this is in place, and we are working in line with it. We've got evidence that this is happening, and again, it's making sure that you're collating that evidence, and retaining that evidence for either audit or just for your own, your own sanity of keeping your job and things like that. So you can prove to the powers that be that you are doing what you say you should be doing. So to me, that's kind of compliance is just making sure you are doing what you say you're doing, whether it's into a framework or just internal policies and procedures.
And I guess, for any organization, there are so many. I'm familiar with, quite a few of the ISO standards, your GDPR, DCIPSS, all those things. But I guess for an organization, it must be quite, quite, you're looking at all of these different standards, and it's like, well, which one do we need to be compliant for? Which one do we go for? At what level do we need to be certified to? Or, how critical is it to them as a business? So, for having an organization such as DigitalXRaid and somebody who's experienced like yourself to actually go through and say, well, this is the current standard, this is what you need to be working for, this is the framework, these are the things that you need to comply with. But how critical is that to an organization? If they're working towards something, how important is that to their organization that they actually get through some of these compliance standards?
So for some customers, they may need it for like a contract. So the contract could be worth thousands, millions of pounds sometimes. So ensuring that they get these frameworks and certifications over the line is really important, because they could be in breach of contract, get fines and things like that. So again, it's really, really important that you as a business take these seriously. We do get customers that have come to us that they're the wrong type of customer, because they never eventually didn't see it through with us, where they just want to tick a box. We're not about ticking boxes. It's making sure that if you are willing to spend money on our service and getting certified to a framework that actually costs money for certification, like ISO 27001, that you're taking it seriously. And it's not just you've got your certificate, everything's thrown into a drawer until 3 months before your next surveillance audit. It's around making sure that you're living and breathing that. It shouldn't be an additional job. It should just work in line with what you're doing if it's right. So if it is clunky, there's something wrong. We need to change it. So again, it's around looking at your continual improvement cycle. What can we put in place to change it to make it better? But yeah, these certifications, we're seeing more and more people coming to us for quotations or advice because they're either getting pressure from a supplier that they need to be certified, or through an onboarding of they are trying to win a contract. So again, there's pressure there to gain this certification, and also we're getting a lot of pressure from like cyber insurances as well these days, not necessarily to be certified to 27001, but to have something in place to demonstrate what your cybersecurity journey looks like, what you're doing about it, what we're implementing. So this is kind of when the maturity assessments have come in place to have a holistic view of what's going on in your business and giving you a score of where you are and where you need to be in your industry. So yeah, there's a lot of pressure these days from all areas of a business these days to work in line with the framework. And if a company's going to share the data with you, they want to make sure it's going to be kept secure and managed in a secure manner. This information these days is really precious, and sadly it's getting stolen or misused in some areas. So it's making sure you've got those processes and procedures in place to report it, react, and respond to these kind of breaches. So yeah, that's kind of where we are with that at the moment.
Brilliant. And I guess, you mentioned an awful lot about data, being able to go through that. It's, from some of the bigger ISO standards, like your 27001, they are big things to implement. And like you said, it's, it must be quite important to have both a person and an organization to trust, to actually go through that process, to trust them, to obviously to go through that data with you, and also to trust that obviously you're going to help them through that process and lead them on to the next stage. I know obviously I'm going to ask a couple of questions around organizations that obviously look for compliance. Is compliance important for all types of business and all sizes? You mentioned about contracts and bits and pieces, but is it, people tend to think, well, do you know what, we're only a small organization, we don't really need that compliance. It's more for the kind of the big guys or the big corporates, finance and so on. So where does compliance sit across organizations?
So again, it's more around looking at what you need to have as a business. So we've implemented in a company that had 3 guys sat around a table. They needed to be ISO 27001 certified to win the customers and contracts that they needed. And then we've gone into customers that are like 500 plus headcount. Some are huge customers, but we just manage a small entity within those. So again, it's all around understanding what you need within that kind of department or scope. So it could be that as a business you think, wow, we are giant, but do we fully need to be certified to ISO 27001? But at the moment, obviously, contracts may be coming in that it might just be your IT department. So it's understanding what you've got, your boundaries of your business, and potentially the scope of any compliance certifications or requirements that you've got. So it isn't one size fits all. Again, with ISO 27001, you've got a lot of other controls that we have to consider, and engaging a company like us allows you to understand if all those controls need to be put in place. So obviously you can be exempt from certain controls if you don't do it. For example, of the 2017 standard, the development cycle, if you outsource any development, if you don't outsource development, you're obviously exempt from that. So it's understanding, if you're going to implement something like this, do you have the expertise to understand the controls and just that? Do they need to be in scope? Do they need to be out of scope? And bringing that in. So using a company like us allows you to kind of have the confidence that when someone's coming in saying, actually, you don't do this, you don't need to think about it. And then understanding what you're left with at the end to ensure you put the controls in place and you are monitoring and measuring those is what you probably need as a business. But yeah, it isn't one size fits all. You can be a person with no computer and just have paper. But if you're getting pressured to be certified and you can justify being certified, then yeah, bring it on. We can certainly help you. But there's nothing that says you've got to have a laptop or anything to be ISO 27001 certified. It's just understanding what your information assets are. So again, a person like that might think, I don't.
What am I walking in?
Yeah. What am I doing here? I've got no computer. What you're on about? But yeah, it's just understanding where you would be compliant and where you would need to implement, extra precaution or controls to manage the requirements that you need to work in line with. But yeah, it is interesting. I would say, some of the customers we've had come that are small, they don't understand probably the work is exactly the same as probably what a larger company would put in place as well. So again, from a business point of view, it's understanding that you might have the resource to continue that journey if you're not going to continue using a service like us, because it is a big job. And the scary thing is, you know, some customers have us for some length of time, and then we are kind of, you know, got them where they need to be, and we are waved off into the sunset. But it is kind of then ensuring that internally it still needs to be done in line with what your documentation says. So yeah, resource is a huge thing to consider as a business when going on this kind of journey as well.
Brilliant. So on the other side of the scale, obviously we've spoken about, you know, some smaller organizations that perhaps maybe aren't too sure what they're doing. For larger organizations, or I guess perhaps maybe more mission critical government type organizations, you know, intelligence, what's the importance, or what's the need to have employees that are CREST or security cleared? You know, do you come across contracts like those where they're asking for specific kind of hands-on people that do have qualifications that are needed, really?
Yeah, we do. Obviously, probably more in other departments than mine. So, you know, if you're wanting a specific type of pen tester because of the organisation that you are, obviously we have those type of people available that have those accreditations. But even from our team's point of view, you know, there's been a lot of changes recently within ISO 27001. There's been a new release in October 2022. So even internally, we've got a big piece of work of ensuring that we're fully trained, fully aware of these changes, because we've got customers on the old standard wondering what's happening, and we need to take them on the journey of transition. And then also for any new customers that come on board, we need to ensure that they're working in line with the new framework. So training, whether it's, you know, just to a level of knowledge of a product or service is really important. But also, if, you know, we've got people that need to be security cleared or any type of clearance, or have any kind of other CREST or check certifications and accreditations, you know, we do have those available. And obviously, it is good for us as a business to have those certifications, because we can offer that service to most people out there that are looking for it. But as well, it's like our SOC is CREST certified. So also it's from the outside world looking in, it's really good to think, wow, this company have invested in their people and in their departments to ensure that they are working in line with a recognised framework. Because it's all right saying, yeah, we can offer you 24/7 response, but if we know we're working in line with a framework that someone can go off and see, obviously it gives that better assurance. It's a bit of a hug to think, yeah, they can do that. So yeah, it can be important to some people to have those in place, and as a business, you know, we do see that that's really important for us to be kind of a one-stop shop for quite a lot of services, but also give the assurance that we've got the right people in post.
Definitely. And I think, you know, we talk about information security or cybersecurity as a whole. There's an awful lot of technologies, solutions, you know, standards. You mentioned earlier about, you know, organizations being breached or compromised. On top of that, we've also got then ever-changing security standards, compliance standards, where we need to be, what organizations need to do to fit to it. So it's quite nice to actually put that into perspective, you know, layering all of these different, you know, protocols and security standards, and then bringing them on top. Got one last question back for you. How do organizations, you know, is it a case of, you know, you update people and you say, look, you know, this new standard is coming in, we need to be mindful of this? Or is it more a case of, you know, they will come back to every year and say, look, is there anything I need to do now? How does it kind of work if, you know, perhaps maybe an organization has, you know, a couple of standards that I need to adhere to? What's the kind of process? Is it something that you're always updating clients and saying, hey, look, this is kind of where you need to be. This is what's happening in 18 months. We need to start looking at it now, or there's a big panic towards the end?
Yeah, no, we usually made aware of any changes that are happening, especially within, you know, ISO 27001 or the frameworks that we work in line with. So usually we, obviously, because we signed up to forums and things like that, usually we advise the customers to do that as well, so that they obviously get that information firsthand as well. But yeah, we a lot of it is just around communication and raising awareness. So obviously internally we have a plan together, put a plan together of who we need to be working with first in the sense of our customers, and then also, you know, what these changes mean, what the work is, what customers does this impact, and then communicate with them and bring them on our journey as well. So obviously we would internally do our awareness piece, our awareness training, ensure we're up to date on what needs to be done, and then just ensure that we're telling the customer what they need to do, where this impacts them, where this may impact their resource, because again, we need to let them know to forward plan, to make sure that it doesn't impact their business, because obviously some people are doing this and again with their day job, so it's a second role, but then we would definitely hold their hand, guide them on that journey, and we would usually, you know, make the changes that need to be done and then get the customer to verify those changes if it's a document or anything like that. So we would take quite a lot of the weight of the work for the customer, and then usually just bring them in as and when needed, so they're not completely scared of what's going to happen. Because obviously some of these changes, especially with the new standard, there's a lot of changes in there. It looks completely different. You know, we had Annex 5, we had Annex 5 to 18. Now we've got Annex 5 to 8. So everyone's thinking, where's everything gone? But everything's just in a bigger scale. And there's other things that need to be considered as well. So obviously it's been brought into the new age, if you like, which it needed to happen. So we need to look at, you know, like the cloud services, what are we doing to monitor threats and things like that. So ISO 27001 is now capturing that. So again, it's making sure that as a business, and the customers are aware of what are we doing to monitor threat. And usually, you know, we'd be doing that anyway, because we'd be, you know, ensuring that we're talking about what incidents have we had or potential things that may have come up that month. So as part of our monthly engagements with our customers, we'll talk about, you know, what we're looking at for that audit, but also the changes, giving them an update and talking about any new potential risks that they may need to put on their risk registers and things like that. So yeah, there's a lot of comms awareness, and just holding of hands really for our customers at this point in time, and you know, we're always completely, you know, saying to our customers, we're available as and when you need us. You know, it's not, don't wait for us just to have our monthly engagement. You know, we're completely open to receive an email or jump on a call if there's any queries, because we do like to see ourselves as an extension to their team really. So, you know, we are that additional member of their team, and make sure that they feel that that is actually in place, and we are that. So by making ourselves available is key really for that communication path.
It's holding their hand, isn't it, along the whole process from kind of start to finish, and any questions, queries, you know, any slight things, you know, obviously come back to yourselves. Well, thank you so much, Kerry, for obviously, one, for your time, and two, going through the compliance kind of ins and outs. So many organisations have, you know, questions, whether it's the start of their journey, whether it's something that they're part of the way through, or something that obviously, you know, as you mentioned, it's a new, you know, iteration, it's a new standard that's just come out. So anybody out there who obviously is looking at compliance or needs any questions answered, you know, please do reach out to the wider team, Kerry, DigitalXRaid. I want to thank you again for joining me in the studio. It's been an absolute pleasure. Congratulations again on the award. I think that's an absolutely amazing thing to have, you know, as long, you know, in your career. And hopefully you will join us again in the future.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Catherine.
Thanks again.